So, what were my favourite books from last year? Let's talk about that. 2013 was a relatively good year for reading. I read 60 books, and although there were a few clunkers, I did read some truly awesome books. Perhaps even one to add to my top favourites of all time. For this video I have chosen 5 favourites, and they are in no particular order. Why 5, you say? Well, I considered doing a top 10 as that is the norm, but I kept on chopping and changing that list and I wasn't particularly happy with it, so I've decided to go with my top 5 absolute favourites instead, which makes sense. So, let's get started. The first book is The House of Special Purpose by John Boyne. Now, I only started reading about Russian history a few years ago, and I am completely fascinated by it. And this story is completely rooted in it. The story is told in flashbacks, narrated by a very old Georgie, as he sits by his sick wife's bedside. He recounts his life as an impoverished peasant in Russia, to a bodyguard of the Tsarevich, to a librarian in London, and so on and so on. And he is there to witness the fall of the Romanov family, and his memories reveal really shocking secrets. Amongst this is a touching love story between him and his wife Zoya, who has her own secrets as well. I really loved this novel. It was entertaining and well written, plus it got a few tears out of me, which rarely a novel ever does. The next book is Bitter Greens by Kate Forsyth. I discovered Kate Forsyth last year and I'm so glad I did, because her novels are so beautiful. The first one I read was Bitter Greens, which is a retelling of Rapunzel. In this retelling there are 3 perspectives, one of Rapunzel, or in this version she is called Margarita, the witch who locked her up in the tower, and the author of the Rapunzel fairy tale, Charlotte Rose de la Force. I loved each and every one of the main female characters. They were unique in their very own way and well written. Although I admit I kind of preferred Charlotte Rose's storyline over the other 2, mainly because she is such a fiery, strong-willed character who's just ahead of her time. The actual fairy tale is well done. I actually think this is the best treatment of a fairy tale I've seen since reading Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier, which is one of my favourite books of all time. And man, just thinking about it makes me want to read it again. So there you go. I highly, highly recommend it. The next book is The Wild Girl by Kate Forsyth. Yes, another novel by Kate Forsyth. I just had to. This time it is about Dorchen Wilde, the wife of William Grimm of the Brothers Grimm. Yes, more fairy tales. Before she became his wife. She is in fact the person who told most of the iconic stories to the Brothers Grimm. For example, Six Swans, Rumpelstiltskin, Hansel and Gretel, The Frog Prince, etc, etc. This is a dark, moving and sometimes horrifying story. It is a powerful story about storytelling, about love in the harshest of conditions. It also is about the cruelty of war, the cruelty of people who are supposed to protect you, deprivation and obedience to parents no matter what. I was totally hooked, and now I wish I had actually gotten a signed copy by Kate Forsyth when I went to see one of her author talks last year. Again, I highly recommend this. The next book is The Curse of Chalion by Lois McMaster Bujold. I read this for one of my book clubs, the Sword and Laser group, which is on Goodreads, and it was so good. It is a high fantasy novel filled with court intrigue and magic. The world building was fabulous. I loved reading how everything worked, and it was done to a really high standard. The main character Kazaril was interesting and engaging, and I enjoyed a lot of his interactions with other characters, especially the not so nice ones. Plus, it was well written. What more can I ask for? And the last book I'm going to talk to you about is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is by far my favourite book of 2013, and I can really understand why it got the hype that it did back when it was published. Magicians, romance, a deadly competition. I honestly could not find any fault. The writing was beautiful, vivid and entrancing. The characters were complex, interesting and endearing. The world building had so many layers and so much texture that I just hungered for more stories set in this world. And I really feel this is a book that I can reread again and again. Plus, it is a mixture of historical fiction and fantasy, my top 2 favourite genres of all time. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye!